really do.
Get
Okay, now
out.
wait a
Good
minute,
fruitcake and a cup of coffee, and I'm happy. Yeah.
I bet you like those chocolate covered cherries too, don't you?
Those are good. Don't knock those.
Those are
There was a time when I could eat those. Yes.
Yeah. Now wait a minute. Mark made a statement here because it's not true. I can't believe he even said that. He was very wise in the
What?
choosing of his words. He says, "I like a good fruitcake." There's no such
thing as a good fruitcake. I've never
Sure,
had
there
one.
is.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
They hold the door open for years.
Now, I've never had a homemade, like grandma's homemade fruitcake or something like that. I've never had anything like that.
Well,
but because the ones that I have tried were just terrible, I was like, yeah, I'm done trying.
Well, my grandmother.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
She tried to make a fruitcake, but I think she got a little heavy in the rum before she got in the fruitcake. So we never got the fruitcake. So it's just my thought.
It happens.
It does. It's not to give us that daily devotional.
All right. So today's devotional is, like I said, out of Psalms 46:1. God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. I like that.
Is that where the coffee comes in?
No, listen,
in trouble?
this is so valid. Listen, this is, by the way, the writer is Barry Young, 30-second devotional for first responders, but this is actually valid for everyone. So here's what he writes. Are you a morning person?
No, she's not.
I definitely am not. And that's this. I'm reading directly out of the book here. Coffee is my best friend. When Kelly and I were first married, I assume that's his wife, yes. I told her that I didn't want to have any serious conversations in the morning because it takes me some time before I am awake and alert. This is so me, you guys. One of my favorite.
It takes an hour.
Sometimes longer. One of my favorite things about God is he is always awake and ready to help us in our time of trouble. Therefore, if you are encountering hardships today in any area of your life, the good news is God created coffee, but he doesn't need it to function early in the morning or late at night. He is an ever-present help.
Wow.
To you anytime.
That's good.
You can go to God anytime of the day because he is always awake and ready to help you.
There you go.
I really liked that today when I was reading that.
Okay, so
and ironically, Joe didn't make coffee when we got here, so I'm coffeeless.
Here's our routine, guys. We're gonna get to Mark here in a second, but I gotta tell you, after this, I gotta tell you the routine. Okay, so I get up 30 to 40 minutes early before Stada does, and then I make the coffee, and then I sit for 30 to 40 minutes at the table, on the couch, whatever, drinking the coffee, doing whatever. I may be in the studio, it just varies, and to where I can function. And then I look at the time, and I go and I wake up. I go make Stada's coffee, and I take it to her in bed. I turn off our fan, turn the light on, and I touch her baby, touch a sweetheart, because I'm scared she'll bite me. So it's very gentle. And Mark, there has to be wisdom involved in this, man. And so,
absolutely.
Then there's the next 120 seconds of me waiting for her to stretch. I've got this thing down to a T, and I then hand her coffee, and I leave the room. And I know if we have to be here on this program at 7:30, we have to leave our house at 6:30, and I have to wake her up at 5:30. So I have my life in hour increments in the morning. So true story. So I don't know if I'm really a morning person as much as an awareness person in the mornings.
You do good. And I greatly appreciate your morning routine that you have put in for yourself to help get me up. And
in other words, Mark, she has me trained.
Well, my wife and I are opposites. I'm a late night person, and she's a morning person. She lays down in the evening, and she immediately falls asleep. I mean, it's just amazing. I lay down and I toss and turn, and for about an hour, and finally fall asleep. In the morning, she wakes up, boom, her eyes open, she's running, and this is like at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm like, until later on.
That does sound like Stada. Well, I think 'cause I get up in the morning. I'm not really necessarily in the morning because I can stay up late.
But Joe falls asleep so fast. I mean, within seconds, he falls asleep. And it takes me hours to fall asleep. And for instance, this morning, I felt like I was just sleeping pretty good. And I was laying on my back. And for some reason, I felt a light shining in my eyes. And I was like, what in the world is that? I peep over and Joe is on his cell phone playing a game.
I was winning.
And I'm like, are you serious?
I was winning.
I'm honestly thinking about getting another bedroom just so I can sleep well, because sleeping is beginning to be a problem for me.
And guys, this is marital advice. When they come up with that, I'm getting another room. What that means is you're about to get your own man cave. Congratulations.
Is that what it means?
That's what that means. You're about to get your own man cave. Congratulations, guys.
Good times.
Guys, let's talk to Mr. Mark Manel. Guys, listen. I've known Mark 7, 8 years now. Mark, something.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. We met.
My phone's falling over. Excuse me.
I'll kill some time for you, Mark, while you're balancing, playing with special effects.
Thanks.
But
special effects, is that what we call it now? Phone falling off the desk. Yeah.
Yes. This is special.
Okay, I can hold it.
But we met at the International Film Fest in Branson, Missouri. Deborah Watson. I was the MC for the event. Mark was one of the speakers. Now, Mark is out from St. Louis and makes a living with Integrity Investments. And then we'll be talking about the ministry, More Than Money Ministries. Now his background, he's kind of a rocker. We was over his house a couple of weeks ago. He's got all these guitars. He's in there playing, man. I was having a great time, Mark, getting in there. And he's playing. Oh yeah, there you go. He's playing some old music. I was digging it. We were talking music. We were all up in the middle of it. And then we just kind of hit it off when we first met 8 years ago. And in fact, they put me and Mark in a corner in that one building, and we spent. I think it was. But me and Mark was skipping class, and
I heard about that.
Pretty much.
I think we were supposed to have been there for something, but we spent in the corner hanging out and talking, just having a good time, and build a relationship over this. Now, Mark, you do, and this was actually the first time 8 years ago when you were telling me about what you did, when you were doing when you were speaking and teaching there in Branson 8 years ago. Because it was talking, I believe, if I remember correctly, you were talking about investing, because a lot of these guys were investing in their films and different things like that. And so now with you do with Integrity Investing, we have a faith-based, and there's some homework and some research that you did because being faith-based. And so am I still on Mark after 8 years of this, Mark?
You're still on Mark, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Biblical responsible. We call it biblically responsible investing now. Many years ago, like 35 years ago, when we started the movement, we called it faith-based investing or moral-based investing. But that all changed because what we started to find was most people really wanted to invest in alignment with their beliefs, but what beliefs and what morals and what values? So to define that, we wanted to make it very clear that we're talking about the morals of the Bible, the faith of Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ. And the only way to define that was to say Bible-based, because it's all based on biblical ethics. How to invest in alignment with God's desires for you and what He has bestowed upon you to be a steward over. And that takes us back 35 years. Over the years, it's progressed. In the early years, it was more like there was like 4 or 5 of us who were doing this. Art Alley from the Timothy Plan, Tom Filer up in New York. He had an advisory service. There was just a handful of us doing this, and we were trying to educate Wall Street about it because so many people on Wall Street say they are believers and yet the way they run their businesses and their trading and their investing doesn't reflect it at all. So we started the National Association of Christian Financial Consultants and started training up stockbrokers and Wall Street personnel to understand what is God's desire for people's investment. You know what's really interesting about this is if you think about investing, it's the froth of everything God has given us. It's not, our daily bread. He provides us that. It's not, all the things we need to get by. He does that. This is the froth, that which we don't really need. It's above and beyond our daily need. And that's what people put into investments. And what really blows my mind, or especially way back then when we started this, was there'd be so many people who would say, well, if I can't invest in this stock or that stock because they're involved in abortion or pornography or whatever you want, any sin you want to talk about, they say I can't invest. If I can't invest in those, I can't make money. It just blew my mind that people would think that even with the froth, this extra that God has given you, the overflowing amount that God has given you, you can't even use that to honor God, even if your assumption of not being able to make money isn't true, because we proved over the years that you can perform just as well with or without all those sin stocks. So, and that's what investing with biblical integrity really is about. It comes down to stewardship, Joe. A lot of people don't take stewardship too deeply, but here's a thought. The Bible, somebody once told me that Bible stood for basic instructions before leaving earth. Sounds pretty good to me. And if you think about that, God created everything. He created everything from the stars to the smallest quirk to everything in between. He created energy. He created the concepts of money and the physics of money as well. When people think of stewardship, I often think they believe they're thinking about something that God is trying to tell them what to do with their money, instead of realizing that the God who created how money works was actually trying to tell them how to use money so that it truly works for them and everybody else, so that it's perfect in its function. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense, actually. So now,
and so that's what stewardship really is: utilizing God's resources for God's purposes to God's glory. And in doing so, it works for everything else, including yourself. So we started running and doing what we call biblically responsible investing for those people who wanted to be able to invest with biblical integrity. Been doing it for over 35 years. And just recently, we merged with another company called Faith Investor Services, who has this passion to do the same thing and would like to see me more out talking about it and educating than managing money. So they're going to take over all the back office and the client facing, and I'm going to get out and promote biblical wisdom regarding stewardship and investing with integrity.
So now with that, because what you're getting ready to go into with doing the speaking and doing these different things and educating people about it. And you made a great point earlier when you said, most people, they're going to invest their money, but they're going to invest in things that are ungodly. So, how does somebody who's looking to do some investments, retirement or whatever, how do they know that what they're investing into is something that is going to glorify God, or is just going to put more things into the world, pornography and all these different things? How is that something that that the individual, the average Joe, if you will, would be able to know that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The average person originally couldn't. That's what was really hard. It would take over a year for me to screen out a company to figure out what they're doing with well, sometimes it's really easy. If a company is, a casino, it's a casino, right?
Right.
If it's a brothel, it's a brothel. If it's an abortion clinic, it's an abortion clinic. So you wouldn't invest in those, hopefully. But oftentimes you don't know what else. For example, a company could be a pharmaceutical company that is working on drugs for cancer and curing cancer and doing all sorts of stuff. But at the same time, they could also be creating drugs to kill babies in the womb, you know.
Right.
So you have to do your research on it. In the early years, we'd have to write these companies and get all their information, and then it was really hard. So we started an organization called Evaluator Services. It's a separate entity that is not owned by any of us, so that we could keep it pure. And what they do is all the data research on all these companies to find out what they do, how they do it, and what they do with the profits, because that's just as important. If a company makes toys for, here, I'll give you an actual. If a company makes baby food, and they make really good baby food, healthy baby food, but then they give their money to Planned Parenthood, some of the profits to Planned Parenthood
Wow.
to kill babies, we just won't invest in that baby food company. First of all, because they're outright stupid, they're killing their clients. But secondly, because they're obviously anti-life and don't believe that what God's created is precious. And that's a real scenario, by the way. And I don't even have to name the name of the company for you to know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. There's a big name going in my head right
Mine
now.
too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
But and that's the intellect part right there, guys. So I mean, we have these. So this is when we come into a business like Integrity Investment, to where they've done this research already. So the average Joe, me, I come on the street and I say, hey, listen, Mark, I've got X amount of dollars, and I want to invest, but I want to know that it's going to go into where I'm going to make God happy. I'm not investing into some type of worldly thing or something that's using slave labor, et cetera, et cetera. Is this where I can come and rely on you? Okay. So now.
Absolutely. We screen everything. We screen everything almost weekly, everything we own for clients, everything that's in their accounts, anything we're thinking to buy. Integrity Investors has a three-part investment philosophy, biblical, financial, fundamental, and technical. So what we do is we look at everything from a biblical perspective first. Does it pass God's tenets of love? Is about the bottom line, the way to say it. If it fits in with God's tenets of love, then we look at it fundamentally to see how this company works, if it's solid, if it's what it's made of. And then finally, we look at the technical analysis to help us decide how to move in and move out of it, when to move in and when to move out. So it's very complicated, and we spend a lot of money and time doing the research, but it's worth it. But here's what's really interesting. Evaluator Services has launched a free screening service. Oh my gosh, I got to remember. I think it's Click It, Screen It, or something like that. But it's free. You can go out and do your own. Let me look it up, or maybe I'll wait till a break and I'll look it up and then come back and tell everybody how to find it, where they can screen their own stocks and their own mutual funds.
So there is a way to where you can screen it. I mean, granted, a company like yours has already done it, but even when you're sitting there in front of the computer and you're looking to invest, you have now a source to where you can go and take a look.
Yes, every individual can do it on their own, and it doesn't cost any. Also, as far as investing, a lot of people say, well, you know, investing can be complicated, and it can, or it can be really simple, which it can, but that makes it even more dangerous because the markets are a jungle, and even more so with artificial intelligence. And 70% of all trades done on the New York Stock Exchange, I read recently, are done via computer, by a computer, not by a person, by an algorithm. So it's getting scarier and scarier. But there's another way. With Faith Investor Services, the company that we're merged into, they have an ETF that is actively managed, similar to how we manage at Integrity Investors. An ETF is an exchange traded fund. It's a mutual fund. So you could buy one symbol, you know, the symbol is pray. You could buy that and then get all the same money management as you would if you had $1 million. So if you had $500 or $25 or $5,000 or 5 million, you could get the same management that the 5 million would get.
Okay, so now you just made a statement there because you said no matter with how much money that you need to or that you want to invest, there's a way. So we're gonna go back to the average, not just the average Joe, but the average broke Joe. But he's got like $25 to his name. Can somebody with no matter what? Because I know you and I kind of had a partial conversation of this some time ago. But somebody on a lower end, they want to do something. They've got a little bit of extra. They want to be wise. They got $25 to do. Is that something that's feasible for somebody that's just trying to make ends meet and trying to be wise with the decision with what God's given them?
Okay. I want to share with you that it is possible to do that, but I'd also like to share with you that wisdom is needed before you do that. Because oftentimes when people want to invest, and I understand this, they may not have all the basics covered first. If they're living check to check and at any moment they may need that money that's in their investment to pay the rent or to get the insurance on the car or whatever it may be, maybe it's not time to do that, but it's time to build a buffer zone instead of liquidity, something that, going into a money market and building up what I call a buffer zone and getting that buffer zone built before you go into investments. Because the last thing you want to do is get into an investment and then watch it grow and then it has a crash or it pulls back real hard. And that's when you need it, Okay. So you put in $100, it goes to 125, then down to 75, and then you need it. You may not want to be in that position. You may want to wait and build a financial buffer zone. I call it a moat around your castle. You remember the olden days, Joe? You're that old when they had moats around the castle.
Yeah. My neighbors.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why do they put moats around their castle? It was to protect the castle, right? And that's the whole idea. That what a moat around your castle financially means is you start building up liquid assets. Get it? Liquid moat. Think about it, Joe. Liquid.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there?
I'll get that one next week, Mark.
Okay. So you build up a moat around your castle with with money that is maybe earning a little bit, but not what the market could do. Right now money markets are making 3 to 5%, so that's not bad. But you put it in there, and that money is for those occasional expenses, like, paying the personal property tax once a year, or renewing your tags on your car, or doing these different things that come around that cause most people to have to go in debt to do it, to use a credit card or something. Now you have that where you're putting a little bit in there every month to build that up so you don't have to go to credit card and or go rob your investments to do it.
Right.
So that's what that's for. So step one is to realize where you're at and what you need to get by every month and to know that money, where that money goes in. Step two is to start building that moat around your castle, built up of the occasional expenses and those unexpected. You say, how do you prepare for unexpected? You just think about it. What could happen? Well, okay, we'll build a little bit buffer and all that. And then you go to the investments.
Okay. So now this is going to bring me to my next question with More Than Money Ministries. Because with doing just the small amount of teaching that you did here was amazing. Is this where More Than Money Ministries comes in? Not only on the investments, give direction for those people and individuals that are needing that type of education. Now, is this where More Than Money Ministries kicks in?
It is, because the basics of stewardship, coming down to realize God owns it all, and then going from there to realize He created the physics of how money works. And if you learn those, you can do better and start realizing the potential that God has for you in all He's bestowed upon you. So More Than Money now is a 501c3 that was set up specifically originally to help people in poverty, to educate and help them to grow out of poverty, and instead of being a depot of blessings from others, to start being a conduit of blessings to others. And, we helped mentor a few people out of poverty over the years, my wife and I. And then we moved to doing some other things like around Christmas, we try to adopt a family or two that just have tried and failed over the years. So we'll go in and help them financially to catch up on bills and maybe make sure they have, you will usually have mom go shopping with, if there's a mom in the house, we'll have her go shopping with one of the ladies associated with us to go buy their kids the presents that they would want them to have. And then, find something for her as well. Things like that. More Than Money is growing though, and we're going to start a whole concept of teaching biblical stewardship. And don't turn off the radio when you hear that. This is good stuff. Imagine if somebody came, you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter or TikTok or something. Somebody says, right now, you could sign up and learn the secrets of finance and money, the mystics of money. I mean, it's all in the Bible, but we're going to teach that to people for free. We're going to make sure people understand how God created the whole concept of money and possessions and what it's to be used for, and how by using it properly, it not only benefits you, but it benefits everybody. Just like investing, it doesn't only benefit you. If you invest properly, you can invest in companies that are doing good in this world, that are curing diseases, that are helping people, that are providing products and service that makes our life better. You do that by investing in startups, but then to help them grow, you can be invested in them and profit from their success as well. So everybody benefits when you invest properly. And that's just one little inkling of the whole concept of what it means to be a great steward. Now imagine if you did that with where you worked, and you're thinking, how does this impact the world? Well, think about this. There's a very popular Christian guy out there who says that he doesn't believe in investing with biblical integrity because you're not really investing. You're not giving the money to the company, so therefore it doesn't matter what you invest in. Well, that's just downright crazy if you think about it. When you invest in a company, you are actually increasing the viability of that company. You're promoting that company. You're increasing its treasury. You're increasing everything, even if the money doesn't go directly to that company. You're promoting abortion, pornography, anti-family, sexual immorality, all these things by investing in these companies who are putting their monies into it. They can issue more stock because everybody's buying their stock. They can do all these crazy things because of it. By removing your money is the oxygen of business. When you remove your money from the businesses that are contra to you, what you believe, you are actually starting to starve those wildfires that are burning down our society. If everybody who claimed to be a Christian would only invest in those companies who at the very least did not compromise God's tenets of love, our society would change overnight. If you think about all the stuff that went on in the last 30 years and how our society has changed, the majority of that was done through corporations pushing on you what you're supposed to believe other than the church. Pushing on you that it's okay to do this or all right for that. Pushing on you to rely on the government and not rely on your church or one another. Pushing on you that you deserve this and not that. It's just the whole. Anybody who thinks that corporations don't have that kind of power is just crazy. I mean, think about it. Why would somebody pay $1.5 million for a 30-second ad at a football game?
Right, exactly.
Why? Or 100 million. I mean, if it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. If they didn't think they could program you, they wouldn't do it. So
exactly.
Learning how money works, learning how God designed it to work, to benefit you, to benefit everyone else. God doesn't need your money. He created it. He can create all he wants. He just wants you to utilize it in a fashion that glorifies him. And when it glorifies him, it means it glorifies you and everyone else.
Listening to Mark talk, this you could even take this concept to the extreme, not with just investing your money in that way, But even with the places that you shop, the retail places that you shop, the places that you buy your groceries, and even further than that,
Absolutely.
the brands, if you will, that you purchase in those stores.
Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, and I'll just, years ago, 7, 8, 9 years ago, maybe less than that, Georgia, they put in they changed, well, just a few years ago, I guess, changed the abortion law. And Atlanta is like one of the largest filming in areas to be filmed. And so they have discounts or, deductions, whatever, for filming companies. And they invested a lot of money into Atlanta. These filming places due to rent places, to pay people's salaries, etc. Well, when Georgia says, hey, we're going to change the abortion law and make it, the term was illegal, whatever. And Netflix said, if you do this, not only will we pull from filming in Atlanta and all those people will lose money, but we will sue you.
Oh, wow.
And I think at that time I was paying $11 a month for Netflix. And they said, we will sue you and take you to court. Well, bravo to Atlanta. They didn't, or to Georgia, they didn't yield to Netflix. And they said, we did it. And they did. Now, whether they pulled or not, I don't know. But I will tell you that I know and I read where a lot of people pulled, faith-based Christians pulled from Netflix because of what they were doing.
Right.
And I think with what Mark's bringing in with this teaching and this education for Christians is so important, and we need to understand the value of this on here.
Awareness, because a lot of these things are not really things I would have ever thought of, even,
Right,
well,
yeah.
certainly not before I was a Christian, but even after I was, even after I gave my life to the Lord. These are some things I wouldn't have thought of.
I'm going to get in trouble right now. But here's one of the things that I love about what Mark does. It's not a name it, claim it religion.
Right.
There's some work that you have to put into it. There's this that you have to do. There is some thought process. There's some growth that you have to put into this. And that's what, and that's, it's not a name it, claim it. It's, it's not one of those health, wealth, and whatever. This goes into putting the work, focusing your relationship and your finances and your time into what God wants. I mean, would I be correct in that, Mark?
Absolutely. And you're touching on a whole lot of things. First of all, the idea you went from biblical responsible investing to avoiding stores that not only don't hold your values, but actually are trying to destroy them, to avoiding products by companies who are doing the same thing. And that's the way the brain works. And what I found over the years is once people get investing with biblical integrity, it opens up all these pathways of how to glorify God, how to live a life that impacts society in a positive way because of that. It just opens up all those things. But then, like you said, Joe, it goes even deeper. The whole idea of I mean, even if, how's the best way to say this? Even if it had nothing to do with money, what if you knew somebody who was a drug dealer who was dealing drugs that were killing people, that he also was a hitman, and he also was doing child trafficking and prostitution? And you could tell me, well, it's okay if I hang with him, Mark. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I might even just partner with him. No, we know better than that. We're not to partner with the evil in this world. When you buy a stock is ownership. So when you buy a stock, you buy, like you mentioned Netflix. You buy Netflix stocks. You are becoming a partner in Netflix. You are partnering with them. And being a partner, you legally will earn profits from all they do, whether it's good or evil. And you will partner in with them on those things. The Bible tells us very quickly, very decisively not to partner with evil over and over again, and who we should hang with and who we shouldn't.
it's kind of like a guilty by association,
It's exactly,
if you will. You know,
you're supporting,
but worse, you actually are profiting from the evilness that occurs.
right.
and if you're paying
I'm
into that,
starting to flip through this little book here.
Let's go ahead and get
This
it.
little
We've only got
book
a
here.
couple
Can you
minutes
see?
left. Yeah, let's get into that. Where can they find that book? That's a book that Mark has written.
Well, you can get it on Amazon or anywhere. It's called The Wall Street Awakening. You can get it on Amazon, or you could just call Joe or the station, and if somebody's listening who really would like to learn more about how to invest with biblical integrity, hey Joe, can we give maybe 5 of these away to people?
Absolutely. In fact, on the morning show, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or if you send a message, I tell you what, if you send a message right here on this Facebook feed, of course, I look at this thing every day. You say, hey, I want that book. We'll hook you up. The first five in this Facebook feed on Acts Media Group, we will hook you up with that book. I've read that book. It's a great book. Mark signed it for me.
I'll even autograph it for them.
There we go.
I
Mark.
think y'all just took the joy out of my shopping sprees, but now I've got so many things going in my head. Like, Mark, where am I going to buy my boots at now? I got some research to do.
Right. So, we got less than 60 seconds. Mark, what's your website that they can go to, take a look at? How can they contact you, that kind of information?
IntegrityInvestors.com or FaithInvestorServices.com. They can go out to those.
And there is also a radio show coming up on MTM Broadcasting as well, if I'm correct.
That's correct. There's several. One of them is called Hey Mark, which we will be, you and I will be answering questions live regarding everything financial from a biblical perspective.
And you can find that on Live 365 MTM Broadcast. And Mark, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Guys, we got to rock and roll out of here. We'll be back next week. We got a guest coming in. Who it is? No idea, but I'll let you know. This is Pastor Joe. Mark, thank you. Appreciate you so much. This is Pastor Joe Inman.
God bless.
I'm out of here.
Not a rocks. Be safe. That I made to make the change in my life was to throw my hands up and ask God to take over. That's really the only conscious decision.
You are listening to A Cup of Sunrise, where we know a yawn is a silent scream for coffee. Now your host, Pastor Joe and Stada Inman.
And good morning. Hey, guys, this is A Cup of Joe with you, just hanging out with you guys. How's everybody doing this morning? Hey, listen, I want to, number one, wish everybody a happy National Hot Chocolate Day. That's right. Today is the holiday to go out and celebrate with getting some hot chocolate. And here's the really cool thing. Okay, so hot chocolate was supposedly the very first instance of that was 500 BCE. Okay. That's a lot longer than I've been around. I know some of you is kind of surprised by that, but really, I only look that old. So if you want to celebrate Hot Chocolate Day, I tell you what you need to do is, number one, you need to go and make some homemade hot chocolate. Number two, call me and I'll be right over. All right, that's how we're going to do it because I'm not messing up my coffee day. I'm not doing it. Hey, guys, I've got a very special guest coming on today. It's just little old me inside my studio here at the house, but my guest is all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'm going to tell you what, amazing singers. I've been listening to their music today. I even made up a song for Bonnie. I'm hoping she writes one out here real soon called Paper Cuts. Not sure how it's going to go, Bonnie, but I'm sure you're going to do a great job as I've heard your other songs, okay? Maybe even let John help you a little bit on that one. I've got Bonnie, and I've got just trying to help out there for you. Bonnie and John Huffines. Did I say that right? Huffines, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm already having a good day. Coffee and the Huffines and music, it's a good day. All right, guys, all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, they are singer-songwriters. Now, now I'm going to ask them here in a minute because now Bonnie says she's a songwriter. John says he's a psalmist. He does not say he's a songwriter. Is that right, John?
Well, maybe I get into the psalmist a little bit, but Bonnie is mainly the psalmist, and I'm a songwriter, and she's also a songwriter, and so she's the psalmist.
So I guess when I was writing things up about myself, I didn't even know. I mean, I write music, but I don't really write the music because the Lord just drops words in my spirit, and I get a melody with it, and then I go to the keyboard and put some chords to it. So it's not like I'm really writing the music. So I guess if that makes me a psalmist, then I'm probably more a psalmist than a singer-songwriter.
So we're just going to reverse roles here is what we're doing. Right, Bonnie? So,
right.
Hey guys, now you're members of the Branson Singer-Songwriter Gospel Association. How long have you been members with them?
Since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
2005, yes. And yeah.
Now, how'd you get involved with Sherry and them? How'd you get involved with Sherry and them? You know that troublemaking Sherry.
Good question. Well, we're so blessed to have gotten to be a part of their lives, and God has used them mightily to help grow us up. Anyway, John's parents lived in Branson, and they were, they went to all the shows and did all the things, and they were aware of this organization, BPSSA, and they would go to their events, mm-hmm. and and John's mom let Sherry know that, well, my daughter-in-law sings. And she said, well, have her come up. So we had a daycare at that time, and John stayed home and took care of the kids. And I drove over to Branson one Friday and sang a cappella on the stage at the back of the, not Denny's, the big place. What's it called, John? Golden Corral. They used to be at the Golden Corral.
Okay, yeah.
They would have evening meetings, and then they'd have luncheons. And so we've been with Sherry and DK for years and years and years, and have been so blessed. And we would kind of be really involved and then kind of back off a little bit, and then we'd get really involved again. So we've been part of the furniture for a while.
Well, there you go. I know Sherry and that group is absolutely amazing. Absolutely love everyone. And when you go into one of the events, man, it's family. I mean, just right off the bat, and it's really different with Branson Singer-Songwriter Gospel Association. But now I wanted to ask you, number one, you guys have been in ministry singing, doing music for how long?
Well, probably.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't ask you how long you were married because I've already got in trouble over that one. So this one's a little easier, guys. So
2006.
Yeah, about 2006 we started singing, and 2005 Bonnie went over to Branson and sang her song "Rise Up, Go Forward, the Victory's Won" a cappella, and so. The way I understand it, Sherry asked her, DK asked her if she had someone she could sing with, because they were also looking for duets. And she picked me. Thank you, Lord. So I went over with her maybe the next month or a couple months after that, and we started singing. And by the grace of God, the goodness of God, He allowed us to win the Duet of the Year that year, and wonderful joy. We were grateful to Sherry and DK because we just honor them. We love them. DK's still alive. He's just in another place, so we love them and
exactly
still do. And So after that duet, being able to win the duet of the year, we chose to start singing in assisted living centers, which we did, retirement centers, assisted living centers, memory centers, which we did up until 2020. Something happened in that year. Things seemed to slow down. But so we went ahead. Yeah. So that was a joy of ours, getting to sing. More than once we heard something along the line of, this is the reason God sent you to earth. You're doing what God has called you to do. And that's something we've enjoyed doing, is just singing together. And that's our church is a large church, and we have not actually been necessarily embraced our talents or giftings, or at least what we like doing anyway. They've not embraced what we've done. They appreciate us running connect groups, which is what we like to do in our home, run connect groups and allow, hopefully, Holy Spirit run the connect group. And we sing there. But as far as like a lot of people being out in the forefront of music and having, Bonnie has made CDs. She's, again, a singer-songwriter and psalmist, or however that works. She has written like 15 or so CDs full of music and honoring the Lord. Wow. And glory to God. And a lot of some of the CDs are like homemade, made at home. And so that's about all I have to share right now. Do you have?
So we've been singing since about 2006 in the retirement centers. When we first started in Branson, we were blessed to be able to sing a few times at Treasure Lake.
Tim Hadler's
show. So we did a few of those things.
Yeah.
But so it was always a good time. And as you said, the BGSSA is just the group of people we're just blessed to get to be a part of. A lot of people have come and gone, and but it's nice to see some of the people that are still there. And so we always like reconnecting when it's been a while.
Right. So now, so singing really for you then is fairly new, singing together. We're talking less than 20 years at this point. Now, you guys have been married for how long?
38 years.
Okay.
March 11.
30. Okay. We wanted to clarify the years. It wasn't 38 days. So just checking. All right. But so now so you've been singing now for less than 20 years. And what were you guys doing prior to that in music? Because I know you guys have these on YouTube and your websites. You guys do like a 3-minute encouraging, uplifting, devotional moments, which are absolutely fascinating. I was watching them today and last night. So is this what you were doing? Were you mainly in speaking engagements, or what were you doing before you got into the music?
Well, that's a situation where actually ever since we've met, we've always done music together, but we did never do it together in front of other people. So, we actually, when we first moved to Tulsa, we went to David Ingalls. He had a creative praise class. And so we went there and we were supposed to write a song. And so John and I figured, well, we just write a song together. So we wrote 2 songs, and we didn't have a keyboard, didn't have a guitar at that time. So it was just, we did everything a cappella. And so I went to Victory Bible College at one point and was going to their school of worship, where I actually learned how to play the keyboard. And let me transgress. I went to college as a music major, found out I was going to have to give a recital and in my second field, which was piano, and I quit because my mother taught me how to play. I never played in front of people. And the first piano lesson I ever had, the lady said, was really challenged because I didn't do anything right. according to her. So I quit.
Oh,
And
no.
then many years later, way down the road, I went to Victory Bible College and I learned how to play by chords. And once I learned how to play by chords, I just took the lid off and I just started getting music and songs, and the Lord had just dropped things into my spirit in my prayer time at church, just different venues. And so yeah, we've been involved in music forever, and we had a daycare in our home for years, and so we would do music with the kids. We would make up little ditties about picking up toys. It's fun, and just that kind of thing. So we've done it, but we just haven't done it in front of a lot of people.
So now, did you guys meet, before we go further with that, did you guys meet in church because you guys started the music together? So did you guys meet in church? Were you doing music prior before you met 38 years ago?
Well, could we tell the story about how we did meet? Does that work?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. We met in 1984, and I was living in Broken Bow, southeastern Oklahoma, and it was on my heart to obey the Lord. And I'd been crying out for a worshiping wife, a wife who worshiped the Lord. And so, but then I put it on a shelf because I wept for this. And I cried out to the Lord. But then it came to a place where the tears were like burning my cheeks. And it was a bit of a challenge. So I just turned it over to the Lord and let it go. Well, after about a year and a half or 2 years, the Lord spoke to my heart and said, get out an atlas. It's time to move. It's what I seem to have heard, whether I imagined it or whatever, however that works. So I got out on Atlas, and I'd never done this before, and I don't recommend other people doing this, but I laid my hand on the East Coast, central part of the USA, the Western, nothing. So I went back to the central part and laid my hands on it, and Rock Springs, Wyoming just seemed to come alive to me out of this, and heard, it seems, out of this rock springs love, joy, and peace. Well, I thought, there must be a revival going on up there. So I headed up there the next day. It took me 2 days to get there. And about 3.5 weeks later, I was in a church service, September 26, 1984, and Bonnie and I met. We went out to a restaurant, and we spent a full hour, maybe closer to 2, just talking about the Lord. And I realized when we getting back to the music part of it, after we were done, we go out the door, and my heart was so full of just being able to have companionship, fellowship with her and the Lord. I sang a song to her, All Hail King Jesus, All Hail King Jesus, All Hail Emmanuel. Well, then after a few moments, it seemed we experienced the presence, or I did, experience the presence of the Lord. So I went to my knees and finished the song. This was on the sidewalk in front of the restaurant. And after I sang that, I looked up, she was still there. And I thought, wow. So I sang, I love you with the love of the Lord. Yes, I love you. Well, anyway, after that, things seemed to start coming together for us to get married about 6 months later. But she had been sensitive to Holy Spirit as well, listening to him, listening to her heart, and moving from one part of South Dakota to another part of South Dakota, then over to Wyoming, to Gillette, Wyoming, and then again to move to Rock Springs. So
I hadn't been in Rock Springs very long before John and I met. And I had found a little church to go to there in Rock Springs. And one Wednesday night, they decided that they were going to actually go to Green River and have church with the people over there. And I thought, okay, well, I didn't know them well enough, hadn't been there, didn't really know where Green River was. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. So I was looking for a place to go. And so I just happened across this church that John was at and went in and they did the church service. And John said it was the only time that since he'd been there, that they actually had people give testimonies. so went to that church. So they gave testimonies, and quite frankly, I thought that's a really nice looking man. And I actually, I don't really never done this before since. I actually I asked him if he wanted to go out to the restaurant.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. So it was made in heaven, John, when you've got an amazing young lady to ask you to go out, and then you sang for her there in front of the restaurant, and she was still standing when you opened your eyes. That was a good thing, right?
Good fun, yeah.
So you guys ended up getting married, and the travel started. You're in Wyoming at this point. And you were doing the a cappella thing, singing together. When did the doors start opening for you? Was it when you started going to the Branson Singer-Songwriters Association, or were you doing even some singing prior to that? I know you said you were doing it in your home, but were you singing in church at that time together, or was Branson Singer-Songwriter Association, that was the group that ended up bringing the music out, helping to bring the music out, I should say?
The BGSSA, the Branson Gospel Singer-Songwriter Association was the group. We hadn't really, the church we go to is humongous, and so they have all the talent that they could like to pick from, and so we never really got really involved in that, and just for we weren't actually thought about being in the choir, which maybe could have opened a door, but I didn't have the ability to stand for an hour and a half, which the choir always did. And so, we just kind of were involved with the church, teaching Sunday school and home groups and that kind of thing. And so really, the BGSSA was when we really, I had started writing music from going to college, to Victory College. It's now called just Victory College, and went to their worship school. And, that just loosed a whole lot of things, and ended up, getting the keyboard, and eventually John got the guitar. And so we were able to go to the Branson and share in song. And it was a really good opportunity for us, because it helped us grow together in what we would do. Because growing up, I sang all the time. I was in the madrigal in school. I was in the choir. I was in different groups, and so that's something that I was familiar with, and went to to all the things that you do when you're in high school. And so anyway, it was good.
So now you also do, not only do you sing songwriters, psalmists, not only that, but now one of the things I found really interesting is, like on Facebook, on the web, on YouTube, you guys do like the devotionals, or the lifting, or the encouragement. I love those. So how did that start? Because I seen some on your YouTube channel. And by the way, guys, if you are interested in going to those, I'm going to post these later on my Facebook shares. But you can find John and Bonnie. Let's see, YouTube, Bonnie Huffines and John Huffines, and then on YouTube, these are videos where you guys are doing these, just uplifting, encouraging. Direct us in what you do with those. Where did that come from?
Thanks for asking, Pastor Joe. We just You know, God is love. God loves people. He loves every one of your listeners. They're all special. You're all special. You're all valuable and important. And He's raised you up for such a time as this. There's a special calling on your life and a special purpose that He has for you. And that's something that we like to share with people, reminding them that they've been raised up for such a time as this, that there's a call on their lives, that they can do all things through Christ who strengthens them, and that the Lord has given them the ability to help people, to encourage them and lift them up. And that's something you do, Brother Joe, is you encourage people, you lift people. And the Lord put it in our hearts to let people know that they're valuable, they're special, they're important.
Yes.
And as we look for ways to get that information to people to where they can hear it, well, as I was looking for a way to spread the word, let people realize how valuable, how special, how important they are, I just sometimes started putting chords to some words, and then the songs would come. And does this work? Could I get my guitar and just play for a few seconds?
Absolutely. We got some time. Absolutely. While doing that, now, so you have several of the websites where you're getting that, because also I want to talk about Jesus Praise 24/7. That's the website that you guys have. We'll be talking about that because there's several different ways, guys, that you can listen to their music. You can listen to these. I mean, here's what I would suggest is definitely go check out their YouTube pages. And you know what? Are you feeling down? Are you having that hard time and you just feel like nobody likes you? Okay, pastors, you know what I mean. And you're getting into those areas. You know what? Go to these pages and get that encouragement, because I did find when I listened to the ones I listened to last night and the ones I listened to this morning, it was an encouragement, John, and I absolutely appreciate that so much on spending that time and doing that. And Bonnie, you as well, just getting in there and just encouraging the body, because that's what we're supposed to do, is to encourage that body. We're supposed to support one another, and it doesn't matter whether we're in Wyoming, Tulsa, Branson, Missouri, or you're in Africa. We're to support and encourage. And John, tell us what you're getting ready to do right now.
Well, right now, thank you. Such an honor to be on your program, by the way. Just so appreciate you. I listen, and as I'm sure so many of you all do, listening to Holy Spirit like moment by moment, because I have like 3 songs like coming to me right now. And so, you've been raised up for such, you've been raised up for such, you've been raised up for such a time as this. So each of you have been, you've been raised up for such a time as this. And to remind you also that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. The word tells us so. And also that He has given you His authority, and you have the ability, and I'm sure you have been, setting people free to know that they can move forward, that they can hear from you, that they can walk in victory in the name of Jesus, which brings to mind, of course, this song briefly. You are lifted up and raised up, you lift people higher. You're lifted up and raised up, empowered to inspire. You're lifted up and raised up, you set people free. You know there's God of victory.
Yes.
Amen. So thank you for letting me share those.
Yeah, and John,
absolutely.
John, not only.
What was that, Bonnie?
The songs that that the Lord gives John, just are build people up, lift them up, and encourage them. And not only that, but the Lord just has given John. We're believing to get it published, a devotional. He's got 365 plus little short devotionals that we've been posting on the Facebook pages, and so I post them usually Monday through Friday. And the Lord just, you got them, and how
It was, well, the way it sort of started was I kept reading devotionals and getting so much out of them and getting just sort of filled up. And I also realized that as you speak the word, you get to hear the word, and the word gets in you. So I have a little statement at the bottom that you can, if a person desires to, they can make the statement and or declaration. And yeah, I just the one came, and I thought, oh, that's okay. Then another one came, and then another one came. I thought, well, I'm just going to make 30 of these to get maybe a little, 31 for a month devotional. Well, after I did that, there were more kept coming. I thought, well, I can do maybe a quarterly, do a 90-day thing. And then they just kept coming and coming and coming. So like Bonnie said, have a 365 plus. So yeah. So thanks. I'm just grateful to you, Pastor Joe, for allowing us to be on your program. I know my mind sort of goes this direction and that direction sometimes, maybe all the time. Anyway, sometimes I'm focused. I'll put it that way. I'm so grateful to get to be a part of the MTM Broadcasting, and just grateful for you and all you do. So thanks.
Well, guys, we want to thank you for coming on the program. Absolutely. Like I said, I have enjoyed the music. Now, for people to hear the music and to also to read, and I know Bonnie on the YouTube, because you have what you've got, you can read it, you can listen to it. Where can folks go to get these encouraging messages and hear some of your music?
Well, as we said, we've got Jesus Praise 24-7, and that's Jesus, Jesus, Praise, Praise 24, and then a dash, and that's 24-7, and that's our website.
Is that .com?
.com, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
247.com.
You bet.
So you can get some information on our website. Actually, the little Facebook feed from the Jesus Praise 24/7 actually is on that website as well. We've had some updates on that recently. So we've got some things from our YouTube channel on the website, and we've got Facebook pages. John has a page, John Huffines. I have a page, Bonnie Huffines. My YouTube channel I think it's actually BJKH. Anyway, you can find me by Bonnie Huffines, and John Huffines the same way. I think John M. Huffines is the one that's the YouTube for John. Yes. And, I haven't been really diligent about doing things. I've got an Instagram page. You can find me a lot of places. I just haven't been real active on most anything other than Facebook. And so that's the one we've been the most active on. And I've had my Facebook page for a long time. And then I have, other Facebook pages. I've got the Jesus Praise 24/7 page. I've got the New Day Dawning music page. And so yes. There's a lot of different ways you can find out about us. And there is a contact page on the website.
On the Jesus Praise 24-7.com. So guys, if you want to get a hold of Bonnie and John, and you want to have them to your church, you go over to that website, and you can invite them to your church. I'm assuming your CDs are on that website as well.
There are pictures of them, and to give you the titles, I'm still getting to the point where I got more things you can actually listen to. But yes, they're available, and you can send me a message, and I can let you know how we can get those to you.
Okay. Guys, I'm going to definitely go over there. They're also on one of the music outlets. I was listening to that earlier as well last night. Was Reverb Nation. You're on there on Reverb Nation as well. There's some music of yours on there. So actually, guys, really, I tell you what, if you Google, not Yahoo, but Google, John and Bonnie Huffines, you're going to have several pages come up, and a lot of information, a lot of music coming up to hear them and to know their hearts. Other interviews, I believe, I also found on there, if I remember correctly.
We were on the Deborah Sweeten
yes.
show. So, and that was a blessing and a gift, and so we were able to share some of the things that the Lord has given us there. And yes.
Now I know BGSSA, Branson Gospel Singer Songwriter Association in Branson, they've got an event coming up. Are you guys going to be at that next event here in Branson?
Not scheduled for the next one, but perhaps in March or April. Yes.
In March. Yeah, definitely come when the weather's nicer. I don't blame you, John, at all. Okay, I get it. So now, do you when some? Yeah, right. So now, when you guys, if they contact you through the website or Facebook, however they contact you, do you much travel? Do you stay pretty close to home this time of year? Do you travel wherever they'll invite you to, or how far? Because I know you guys said, I mean, you were travelers at one time. That's how you met. God said, "Hey, listen, I got to get you out of this where you're at so you can meet." I get it. So you guys still doing some traveling?
Well, thank you for asking. Appreciate this so much. I like to say, we've been traveling the USA and going to other nations on occasion. We don't. We're home folks. we're only us.
We're open.
But we're open.
And we're available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we're open and we're available, and it would be a gift for us to get to come and share, because the Lord has.
So I'm going to ask this question, and just because I love bringing it out. Now, when you guys are invited to a church, do you have a set fee, or is it a love offering?
I would love to be able to say we're invited to churches, because it might even make you look better. If we were like traveling and had a lot of programs we visit. Anyway, we're new to it. Even though we've been around, we're just not very famous.
Yeah. Well, I tell you the reason that I asked this, guys. I had a hidden reason, and yes, this was not on a list of questions, guys, that I gave him. I just popped that one out because, number one, I love the surprised look on John's face, but he answered it so well and so amazingly. Because here's what I love about John and Bonnie is the heart. It's about uplifting. It's about encouraging. It's about uplifting the body, and and just uplifting Jesus in that process. And I think that's one of my favorite things about you guys. We've never met face to face that I know of. I mean, I don't remember a lot of stuff. Sometimes my wife has to go, "Yes, I'm your wife." It's okay. But, with this, when you have people that truly have a passion to want to minister, to encourage, and to uplift, I think we need those in our church. I think we need those at our organizational meetings. I think we need those type of hearts in these different musical organizations. And John and Bonnie, and I want to thank you so much for having one of those hearts to be able to have a desire and a passion. I know you're not maybe traveling the world 365 days a week, but for where your heart is and what you're doing on the video side between YouTube, Facebook, being able to be an encouragement to the body, I think that's fascinating, and I think that's amazing. And I want to say thank you for that, for just having that heart to do wherever God takes you. And that's obvious that you're willing to go wherever God takes you. I mean, how else would you have met? I mean, come on now. So that's been apparently has been a theme in your entire life and in your ministry. So I want to thank you for that. Now, are you planning on doing, we're going to start winding this down in a little bit, but are you guys planning on doing another album soon? Are you working on an album? What is your, I know, John, I hope you get that book written, because I want to buy a copy when you get it written, because it's, I've read some of the things that you put out there. Definitely put me down for one of the first ones. Okay. but are you guys getting ready to put another album out? What's your plans at this point?